Hey guys, how are you? I'm jumping in to do a quick little reading. Wasn't planning to do it all. See this mess of my cards here? I had to pick these up because they were on the floor. And the reason why I am doing this reading is because I can sense, I've been sensing it for a week. I've been trying to stay away from it. Oh, hey there. Um, there's kind of like this panic out there right now about all the psychics who are seeing Donald being elected next year. I addressed this unexpectedly, and I believe it was in the it was a long series, the 4-part series on the winter solstice, because it just kind of out of nowhere showed up in the Taroscope, and it was in either part 2 or part 3. I'm going to put my hand here. I'm going to find that for you, and you can find it and interpret it how you want to. But I addressed it. However, this has so much life behind it, and this is what we need to remember before I do this. The Saturn-Pluto conjunction, we just had a new moon on Christmas evening, Christmas night, or in the wee hours of the 26th. One thing I've been telling you guys is that as we approach this new year, this Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which will happen on January 12th, which will be 2 days after the full moon eclipse on January 10th, this is reminiscent of the scary energy that we had in the eclipses at the end of July, the July 24th can opener eclipse, because it activated this Saturn-Pluto conjunction. And Barr and Trump really exploited that. It was a scary time. They were kind of out of control with what they were doing. And then, of course, we had Putin and Kim augmenting, exploiting that tension with, everything going on in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz and the tankers. And then in Jordan, there were those drones and the explosions in Saudi Arabia. It's a stage. They exploit this so much like a stage, and there's a lot of frightfulness. They live for this. Also, it's the holidays, and these guys want to ruin the holidays. KJU and the missiles on Christmas. Will he or won't he? He wouldn't. I knew he wouldn't. He didn't. And now, just a second. Puppy calls. What we have to do is separate the fear that you're feeling. And we're going to be talking about fear a lot this winter. I started kind of doing some stress activities in the last 2 videos I did on our agencies. I think it was, civil rights, and then also the ACA healthcare. Keep breathing, okay? And so this is being exploited tremendously. There's so much fear out there. The bots are out there. And when we get this much activity, usually means Donald is in trouble. When this was going on at the end of July, well, now we know in retrospect that is when he was withholding aid from Ukraine, and then they got caught and there was a whistleblower. So to do everything to make everyone look elsewhere, don't let AOC and I forget her, not AOC, Ilhan Omar and I can't think of her name. Don't let her into Israel. Don't let them into Israel. Go after Elijah Cummings for being a racist in Baltimore. There were events that happened in Texas and Ohio. And we had the Mueller hearings. It was pandemonium. Totally exploiting this Saturn-Pluto. And so even trying to talk about this with you guys, if you notice, I started my cards all over the place. I can feel this energy racing in my mind right now, even though the moon is void, of course. The moon right now is in the later degrees of Capricorn. And so this has really been heightened. The moon has traveled, it's crossed Jupiter, it's crossed Saturn, it's conjuncted Pluto, it's going to Venus. But this has everything to do with home and defense and protection and how we nurture the United States and home. We've had a lot of threats, starting with KJU with Christmas and everything else that Donald is doing. So, my long-winded way of wanting to answer this question, because I had a hit on this last night. Why are all the psychics saying that Donald is getting elected again? I haven't watched those psychics. I don't know where this is coming from. I do know that there are psychics and astrologers and tarot readers that are Trump supporters, and that's fine. And their readings are going to differ. That's where Donald's biggest fear is, because he wants to stay in office forever and he knows he can't. So I want to know, Tarot, what is all the energy behind psychics seeing Donald being reelected? What is all that energy about by psychics seeing he's going to be reelected? Just tell me about the energy. Well, the energy behind him getting elected, they might be picking up on the activity on the Trump campaign and others that are furiously working behind the scenes with bribes and payments to get the propaganda out there, to stoke fears. Because, again, it's just been so gross. The level of interference right now just in our national dialogue. There's a lot of money floating around. The energy stream is huge with this. Going back to, I think, the last debates, I had kind of wanted to just check in with some of the candidates, and I kept getting Donald's energy in my throes on what he thought about them and what he was doing to them. That's why I chose specifically, all of a sudden, because I don't like reading on Democrats, I was wanting to know why Joe Biden was such a threat and why Parscale was so focused on him. And I chose him only because of the whistleblower and how much it was in the news. Because when I looked at that in May, Parscale was terrified, and so was Donald, because they couldn't get the propaganda to flip everything. So the energy stream behind psychics picking up on Donald being reelected, let's keep breathing. Big breath, let it all out. Okay, let's get this breathing regulated, because I am, you can hear me, how off I am. Let's just find a rhythm, okay? Because your diaphragm has to do with Saturn, your mercury has to do with your brain and your lungs. So if anything in these days, concentrate on your diaphragm and the movement. We want this to be stable, okay? Keep breathing. See, now I feel better. So the energy behind the psychic saying that Donald's going to be reelected, not due to charity. This doesn't look very psychic to me. This looks like payments. Because in the past, the energy behind them seeing this is the government. There's a real problem for Donald with the government because he's impeached and he's going to go to trial, which is leading to right now with all of this and this energy stream. The Fool. The Fool is always someone who's indicted. Indictment under seal. Unindicted co-conspirator. It's bad. He knows how bad this is because we're going to get those taxes, which is going to lead to a what in the future for this energy stream? More Trump campaign syndicate, and the Trump crime syndicate, which is actually sponsored by the Trump campaign. It's going to lead to more. They want to create this other world that it invades our world that he's getting reelected, so that if we're told this enough and if psychics are picking up on the energy, that people will go vote for him. Meanwhile, they're suppressing, purging hundreds of thousands of voters already in Georgia and Wisconsin. This is the energy stream. What's at the very root of this energy stream that psychics are picking up on? How about that? The psychic picking up the energy, lifting the veil. What are we to know and what are we not to know? What is bubbling up through our subconsciousness? And there's a whole lot of Saturn Pluto in this card right here. So what's the challenge right here and now? This energy they're picking up on is because of Donald's fear of indictment, being impeached and removed. The challenge is, whoops, oh, the Six Wands mob. The Six Wands mob, Trump, Putin, Unji, Kim Jong-un, Netanyahu, which, by the way, he lost 2 elections last year, and now he just won his primary for runoff for prime minister. This will be the 3rd time he cannot assemble a coalition government. The 3rd time he's... Don't get me started. Okay, and here's a sidetrack to the sidetrack about Netanyahu. Let it be an analogy to why it's so hard to remove Donald. Netanyahu was not indicted until recently. He has run for prime minister. He lost in May, assembling a government. They had to have a special runoff government in September. He failed that one. He came like in 3rd place maybe, but then somehow the other party put him in charge to assemble the government. And then that didn't work. And now he's facing a primary challenger, 3rd election since May, who he beat resoundingly. And now he has to assemble a coalition government again. This is Netanyahu, who has lost 3 elections, but somehow is retaining power because the Six Wands mob needs him to stay in power. So this is not the Democrats. It's not that the courts, it's not that Pelosi and everyone isn't doing their job. Aside from everything else that they're doing, so it'll stand up legally the first time so that we won't have to go around in circles over and over again and have Donald delay an appeal. This is what he's up against. This is what we are up against, trying to have him removed. Other dictator-y nation-type leaders need him to stay in power. End of rant. Sorry. Six Wands mob, if Donald loses, they're out of business. This is the virtual rogue country, the Six Wands mob, that are rolling elections and taking over nations, their nation's policies, the nation's contracts, especially when it comes to minerals and resources. It will be over if he does not get reelected. So the energy stream that the psychics are picking up on is the money, the government, the impeachment, the possible removal, the panic of the Six Wands mob and the Trump campaign and all Six Wands mob spies and digital armies and disinformation bot and propaganda platforms pouring in. Because at the root of it, they don't want you to trust your instincts, your intuition. And it's creating a lot of panic. Yeah. The psychics are picking up on this delicate balance of energy. and streaming and messaging. Look at all these messages we can get out there. This energy stream is backed by Russian strength. And the energy stream is a plan that has progressed magnificently for them. Digital armies, spies, in information warfare. That is the platform for which psychics are picking up on that. So, I have not seen these psychics and these predictions. I believe that, we all hold a piece of information. I know that for myself, I've picked up on energy streams and reported them, and it was something else. Okay? A good example of that was the whole Syria series, and it came down to following the money. I'll put that right here. So the psychics that are saying Donald is being reelected, show me why the psychics are predicting that. Well, there's word from Russia that Donald will be reelected again. I will leave that one out. The Hanged Man is the propaganda that's used to change your mind, and the outrage, well, you can import that from China, and the overall emotions about this. Okay, so the psychics that are saying that he's going to be reelected again, what is it, the information that they are picking up on? Because that's legitimate. The energy of theft, of stealing an election, that's very, very, very real. That's real because of the purges, everything else. That's covered in treason and heartbreak. That is a true statement. Those treasonous bastards. The challenge with picking up this information and energy about Donald being reelected is it's coming from an influence of the government, the conflict he has with the government being impeached, removed. The challenge, this is Donald's fear. It's a Republican fear. It's a fear around the world that they're going to exploit, because the more that they can grow this circle, this vortex of conflict, it always benefits them, because if they augment that, it shows up in the media, it shows up everywhere. I have not seen a voter yet. I haven't seen a celebration yet. So what else is the energy stream that they're picking up on that's reelecting him? The root of it is a tower moment. Yes, this is a major, massive tower moment we're having on so many levels. I've told you the astrological part. What's crowning the energies that's getting picked up on that he's going to be reelected? It's the end. This is the end for him. This is about endings. It could be endings for him. It could be the endings of our nation, our democracy, but it really more is about him and endings, because we're dealing about impeachment and removal. And Netanyahu is not in good position either. Because in the past, what happened with this energy? New money, new power, which led to leading to what in the future? The Trump dynasty. How do we see this energy that psychics are picking up that Donald's going to be reelected? Justice. Justice is coming for Donald. He knows it. He knows it, and Bill Barr too. It's the environment of this energy that is... The environment is the Trump crime syndicate, the Trump campaign. What's the hope of this energy stream that the psychics are picking up on? New action, new inspiration will be taken. What's the fear of this energy stream that's getting picked up on? The oligarchs will no longer be secure and comfortable. The rich people, there's a certain population that will no longer control the government. What are the next steps with this energy stream that the psychics are picking up on? Nostalgia, the Republican Party, getting the Republican Party reelected. Final result, the final outcome of this energy that is reelecting Donald. Mercenaries, bribes, money, Mike Pence. Mike Pence is a threat. I do not see voters there. I see nothing to do with people voting for him here. I see massive voter suppression. And what Russia can do with this information. It's only January. We have a long way to go. We have more eclipses to go. We have a conjunction to go. Keep breathing. And we have actually 3 more eclipses before the election in November. And by the time we reach November, we will already be in an eclipse portal because there's an eclipse on November 30th, 2020. So, if I were you, I would drop it. Drop the psychic talk about Donald getting reelected. We are going to talk instead about voter suppression. We're going to talk about our health care, how we're going to reassemble that. We're going to talk about civil rights and human rights and what we expect the government to do to correct that. You guys just came up with a bunch of great ideas on other agencies to look at. But drop it. This is just such a fear-mongering stream that has no actual citizens voting involvement in this. I just don't see any of it. I don't even see the Page of Swords hacking into the vote machine. I don't even see the 8 of Pentacles data with votes being manipulated. I don't even see the magician who manipulates vote tallies. I see none of that. I see fear and I see a campaign. That's what I see. Look at all of these potentials. Look at all these potentials for the election. Please don't look at this. They don't want you to look at this, at the Democratic nominee that is just the Democrats who are just getting dwarfed by a tsunami of disinformation, propaganda, fear, and then the billionaires who decided to run. There's a very small number right here, legitimate nominees who are not even getting an ounce of deserved airtime. Social media is in a lockdown. You'll never see stuff about them, the good stuff. And when you finally get to find out information about them, they're going to make them look so out of touch and disjointed from reality and the news that's being projected. They're going to say they're so out of touch. They have no idea what's going on. No, media, you don't know what's going on. You have yet to even interview or task yourself with a focus group of Hillary Clinton's voters who, by far, by 3 million votes, voted for Hillary. And this isn't about Hillary Clinton favoritism. It's about the domination of the message that's being sent out there. The Trump supporters are changing, but, you know, there's still so much worry about changing their minds. They're such a minority and they get all the airtime. Ignore it, ignore it. They're not even worth it. Okay? Thanks, you guys. Have a good day. Okay.